What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Tattooing 101, and today I'm going to go over sterilization. A lot of you have been asking for more answers on how to properly sterilize your workstation, things like that, so that's what I'm going over in this video today. If you're finding these videos helpful, make sure you're liking and subscribing down below to keep up to date on all the tattooing content we create. So let's get into it. There's a couple things that we're going to focus on. It's how to clean your station, how to use an autoclave or a dry heat sterilization process, also how long you need to let Maticide sit. All of the questions that I believe anyone would have whenever it came to proper sterilization and cleanliness of a tattoo station. So we'll start out with the station to begin with. Anytime you're doing a tattoo, you want to make sure that you are wrapping up everything that goes for your machine, your clip cord, making sure that your work area is clean. Also using saran wrap to wrap up your workstation, any benches you're using. Everything needs to be wrapped up. I even go as far as using apron when I'm tattooing that can be sterilized just to protect my clothing, things like that. And obviously using gloves for everything. I like to also empty my trash can after every single tattoo. I know that seems like a lot, but it makes sure that every time a new client's coming in, there is a new trash bag with only their biomaterials going to go into, like paper towels, things like that. Obviously your needles, cartridges are going to go into a bio container where you'll dispose of them that way. So now that everything is wrapped up and ready to go, there's a couple different things you could do to this point. So you could either do full disposable, which is completely fine, but you'll throw away your tubes at the end of each tattoo, or you're going to go with the metal tubes that you could reuse and sterilize. If you don't have an autoclave, you cannot use these. If you don't have an autoclave, you can't use a pen style machine unless it comes with disposables. You cannot just wrap up, no matter how you wrap it, you can't wrap it up to the point that it's good for bloodborne pathogens and health inspections as well. So that's one thing you want to think about before getting a machine, and making sure that you have all of these things if you do not have an autoclave. One thing I wanted to touch base on is the reason I went to full disposable and not an autoclave is because there's a lot of extra work that goes with it. There are weekly spore tests in the state of Tennessee that you need to do, and everyone should do anyway, to make sure that your machine is running the optimal and the appropriate way to sterilize. Because the blue strips that you see on the actual bags that you put them in to sterilize only show that it's gotten up to temperature. It does not necessarily prove that it has been sterilized. So there's a lot that goes into this that you need to know before just jumping into trying to do this route, which I've done years and years of using an autoclave. I honestly hated it my whole career, cleaning the tubes, everything like that. So as soon as they came out, the disposables, I jumped on that quick just so I didn't have to clean another tube. Okay, now we'll get into after the tattoo. Obviously, you cleaned up your stuff, you put your sharps in the sharp container, the bio container, and you're ready to sterilize your equipment. Obviously, you never want to put Maticide on your machines, things like that, so you always want to make sure you're using a bag. That way your machine is protected. You could throw away that bag and put your machine up. It is okay. With everything else, all your work areas, your benches, your setup table, your chair, all of these things need to be sprayed with Maticide, Cavicide, something that kills blood-borne pathogens. Another thing, you want to read the back of your bottle. Different ones need different set times in order for it to be used. I've seen plenty of tattoo artists out there will spray their stuff, wipe it away, and walk away. What you want to do if you're using Maticide, which is what I've used my whole career, is spray it down, let it sit for 6 minutes. That gives it time to kill everything like it's supposed to. Then you wipe it down, let it air dry, and then you are good to go. That place is sterilized. Another thing, I also always sterilize before my appointment and after. That way I know 1,000,000,000% that it's going to be sterilized before I get a client in my station. Because if I do a tattoo at the end of the night, and it's been a weekend, I come in and it's been 2 days sitting there, I want to make sure that everything is sterilized before getting a client into my station. Another thing, keeping your floors clean. I like to use bleach and some other cleaners whenever I am using on my floors. I don't recommend using bleach to clean anything else besides a floor, so that's what I use for that. I'll add in some floor cleaner just so it doesn't smell like super overpowering like bleach, but anytime you spill ink on the ground, things like that, which really shouldn't happen too much, make sure you're taking care of that immediately, and then you can just go over with a mop at the end of each tattoo. If you get used to this, then your station's going to be completely clean at all times, which I highly recommend. You don't want to have, you shave people, so you don't want their hair just floating around in your station. So just make sure you're staying clean. Next thing will be the different ways to sterilize, and there is a lot that goes into this. I'm going to touch base on all the things that I think are the most important, and then obviously throughout time you'll pick up on different things, but if you are first starting out, more than likely you're not going to have to worry about an autoclave right now. Just use disposables. So with the autoclave, you're going to need sterile pouches to put your stuff in after you clean them out. So even before you put your things into an autoclave, you need to make sure that you're using tube cleaners and cleaning out all the blood and ink off of your tubes completely. You don't want one speck of anything on your tubes before you put them in the autoclave, because it could affect the way that they're sterilized. So make sure you're 100% clean. They're completely rinsed out, everything you need to do before putting them in the autoclave. Then you'll put them in your bag, put your date on it, and then run it through the autoclave. Now with an autoclave, I've touched base on, you do need to do a spore test every week to make sure that everything's running correctly, and you just send them out and they'll get your results back, which could be super annoying to do that every single week, but it's something that needs to be done if you have an autoclave. With an autoclave, most will run at 275 degrees and from 15 to 23 pounds of pressure. Now, once it reaches the desired temperature, it's going to have to wait 20 minutes with your supplies inside in order to reach that sterilization. So that's the biggest, most important part, that if you're just putting your stuff in there and not letting it run the full cycle, you'll pull it out and it'll say that it has been sterilized on the package, but that's just telling you that it's gotten up to temperature, not that it's been there the appropriate amount of time. So make sure you're doing that correctly and do more research on it before ever trying it out. They could also be super dangerous. I remember it was really, really scary anytime a new shop owner would explain to this, because, you know, there's been stories of them blowing up, catching on fire, all sorts of crazy stuff. So I highly recommend not just turning on an autoclave and leaving the shop at the end of the night. I like to always stay there and do it when I am there, and I never left the autoclave on. And the next will be dry heat sterilizers. So the way that this works, it gets up to a way higher temperature. They also operate on no water and use no pressure at all. So it just uses a really high temperature to kill all of that bacteria. The dry heat sterilization occurs when it gets to about 160 to 180, and you're going to want to sit it there for 30 minutes. Now, this is something used mostly with piercing supplies and things like that. Mostly anytime for like tattoo tubes and things like that, you're going to use a regular autoclave. But I have seen these dry heat sterilizers for doing your tools for piercings and things like that. And there you go. Those are the main focal points on how to keep your station clean and how to use an autoclave. Obviously, there's way more to go into, which we will in future videos, breaking down autoclaves and things like that. But I just wanted to make a video so you understand completely what you need to do if you are tattooing or if you're wanting to get into this. I hope this was able to help you out, and thanks for watching. If you have found this video helpful and you would like to be mentored by artists like me and other mentors from Tattooing 101, I left a link underneath this video for you. Inside our Artist Accelerator program, we break down step by step how to tattoo from start to finish, even if you are just a beginner. So if you're tired of trying to figure out everything on your own and want to skip years of trial and error to become a professional tattoo artist, I recommend you check it out.